Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today joining us with Master Fitter Sam Smith, and we're going to be talking zero torque putters, a topic that we've done quite a few videos about, but I think moving into the 2025 season, there's a hell of a lot more putters on the market now that are following this trend of zero torque. And we're going to talk about which route do you go down. You know, if you're somebody thinking about buying a zero torque putter, there's that many offerings now. You know, and I think for most people, when you're talking zero torque, Lab springs to mind. They're very good at marketing it. They've got some good players using it now, and it's getting some tour wins. But does that mean we should be overlooking what else is on the market?
Yeah.
You know, we've got Bettinardi, we've got PXG, we've got Axis. You know, we've got quite a few options now. Obviously, other brands are bringing these putters out. There's a couple we haven't got in there today.
Yeah, you got Square to Square Odyssey. What else? You got the new Paradox one from BGT. That's a bit different. But then you've seen like prototypes like Ping ones, tailor-made ones.
Yeah.
Titleist I've seen Scotty Cameron's on tour. So yeah, there's loads of options now.
And what I would say is we've had pretty strong opinions on zero torque putters in the past, but obviously it's like everything in life. You learn as obviously time moves on, and there's probably a few more points to talk about today that, you know, maybe our opinions might have changed from before. So I think we're going to do a bit of testing, because you're a Lab user, aren't you?
Yeah, I've been Lab for about 2 years now. So I got on the zero torque train a little bit earlier than other people. But yeah, it's I can't, you know, whether I do stay at Lab or I go other brands in the future, but I can't move away from zero torque. I think now you can definitely feel a difference.
So you're a Lab rat and I'm using an Axis, and believe it or not, we're friends.
Yeah.
You can be friends, you know. You don't have to, you know, if you're not using a Lab, guys, and you're a Lab rat, you don't have to attack everybody else. We're pretty much best mates, and we use different putters.
Yeah.
Them Lab groups can get a bit tasty, can't they?
Yeah, it can get a bit heated. You know, as soon as another brand brings it out, obviously, well, the new Odyssey one looks a bit very similar to a nice Lab offering.
To be fair, it looks disgusting from what I've seen in pictures.
It's incredibly similar.
I hope it comes out and it's a lot better than the pictures that I've seen. I'm hoping it's just like a prototype, because from what I saw,
I think we brought them out now.
Have they brought it out? And is it as bad as it looked in pictures?
It came out last week. But yeah, everyone just obviously it looks so much like a DF3 without a circle, basically.
Right. Well, let's start by just having a look at your putter. I mean, you've got half of these are bloody yours, aren't they? Do you want to pull yours out? What you've got?
3 Lab arm locks. I mean, that's probably the main thing. So, you know, if you wanted zero torque but went, say, counterbalance or arm lock or broomstick, Lab is probably the only one. I know Bettinardi do a counterbalance one. I think Odyssey do. That's it. I think no one does arm lock, as far as I'm aware, that's zero torque. No one does a broomstick with zero torque, I don't think. Odyssey, I don't know if it does square to square yet, on lock and broomstick.
Can we probably agree on one thing? And I might be wrong on this, but would you say Lab are the most customizable?
Oh, 100%.
In zero
I think
torque?
everyone will say that, because again, a lot of them, it's fine if you're Mr. off the shelf in terms of lie angle. But again, if you went to say get a PXG altered or a Bettinardi, it's not going to then be properly balanced, because it changes the balance point of everything.
Well, I'm going to chuck something in there, a bit of a spanner in it works, and we are going to hit some putts in a minute. But I'm somebody that's got the option to have all the fittings in the world, and I got sent a putter to review. It were actually the Rose 2.0, which is it's pretty much an off-the-shelf spec, 70-degree lie, standard loft, 35-inch. You know, in length.
Yeah.
And I'm testing it, and I was holding everything. So that went in the bag. I went against everything I know fitting wise, and you know, and I put something in the bag unfitted, and there's nothing in the world that can take that out of the bag at the minute.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good point, is to sort of not be narrow-minded. You know, I think all these zero torque putters have their own theories. These manufacturers on zero torque, they don't all agree with each other, as we've seen.
They've all got their own spin, haven't they? I think what through a spanner works as well as obviously the revealer. Because Lab made the revealer, it's everyone's basing, if it's balanced, based off the revealer. But you know, who's to say that's how it should be done in a way? Again, I've seen Axis, they've measured it differently. PXC got their zero torque, tube. So yeah, it's everyone's got their own take on it, haven't they? But yeah, I think that's definitely we can probably agree on is, if you do go down the route of like arm lock or broomstick, then Lab is a way to go at the moment. Again, other brands might then start venturing out, but they're definitely the best for customization and lying or different changes and stuff like that.
Well, what we're going to do today, we're going to do a little bit of a head-to-head. We're going to get the 4 different brands that we've got, and we're going to do a head-to-head and talk about some of the, you know, pros and cons of each putter, really.
Yeah.
And I think for those guys watching at home, if they're in the market, because some of these guys are shopping sometimes second-hand market for putters, so they ain't got that luxury of going and getting a fitting and spending $700-800 on a putter. It might just help you make a bit more of a calculated decision.
Yeah, I mean, there's some of them I've not tried as well. I've not tried the Antidote, not tried your Axis. So I'm keen to see what they're like as well.
I have got the new Axis Elite putter, which I've done a review on with us today. But for the purpose of the video, I'm going to use the Rose 2.0 because I think, you know, that's the one that's my gamer. So let's get started.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think what we'll do, so obviously you're a master fitter.
Yeah.
You're going to be trying some of these putters for the first time. And I just want you to share, you know, your opinions on what you're seeing and feeling. I'll share some of mine. So we're starting off with a Bettinardi, which is, it's the SB1 model. So it's
so they do a larger version as well.
They do a mallet as well. And the reason why I opted for this one is because it was like the most traditional looking zero toe putter I'd seen.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of people that do still like a traditional looking putter, you know, more of a sort of bladed, a bladed version.
Yeah, fair. It does look really nice.
Now, there were one thing that surprised me about this, were for a metal putter, how soft it were.
Hmm.
Just gonna hit one. It rolled end over end into. Let me have another one. Have you ever tried like a bladed zero toe putter?
I haven't actually. No, I've only had me. I've had basically every model apart from a Link.
And what we're surprised about this one, this was the first putter that I ever put in the lab revealer that actually swung square to square.
Yeah. Yeah, which told you a lot. Yeah, it does sit lovely. Also, I use arm lock normally, so I'm going to hit a perfect putt. No, it sits really nice.
Did it feel softer than you expected?
I'd say similar. Obviously, you know, I knew it's obviously very high-end milling. But yeah, it felt very nice and soft. I think it just sits really flush. It does sit lovely. Ooh. But no, I do like the look of it.
Would that be any, you know, like obviously going from a mallet to a blade, did you feel any difference in forgiveness or balance?
Not really. Again, because it's zero torque, didn't really feel any difference in terms of stroke.
Yeah.
You know, obviously, normally you probably would because it's not an arm lock. But yeah, it felt the same. Like I could put the same stroke on it, which is what you meant to feel, which is great. No, very, very good.
So we're going to obviously have a look at my gamer, Axis1. When this was sent to me, I never ever thought this was going to be my sort of new putter.
Yeah.
It weren't until I tested it, because you know, like looks wise, it didn't initially appeal to me with this heel.
No.
And I think a lot of people might sort of be on that page. It's not one you sort of look at and think, oh, that looks nice. I mean, I could be wrong in saying that. Some people might love the look of it.
It's very different. Again, you know, you got different brands presenting zero torque a bit different. So obviously they've designed it so, you know, the shaft goes into the middle of the CG. That's similar to PXG. And then obviously you've got Lab and Bettinardi, which are like fixed into the head, you know, parallel shaft, not a bend. So yeah, they're all going to look a little bit different.
Looking forward to your opinions on this one. But this is the one I've had the best results with personally. And I think because it blends zero torque with the number 7 looking club.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people using number 7 in, like, you know, older Odysseys and, you know, the sort of models of putters. So I think it's a perfect blend for having a little bit of alignment, but obviously zero torque technology, which for anybody trying to take the putter, you know, square to square, it does help a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
And there we are, back to normal service. What I mean, you're obviously lab. Your last few putters have been lab. I think you've got 3 here today, haven't you?
Yeah.
It would be amazing if you enjoyed this.
Yeah. No, I said it's. I don't think I'm a massive fan of the neck, but again, everyone's different. You know, obviously now it doesn't really bother you.
Dan's gritting his teeth behind camera because he's an angry lab. user. He don't like any other brand. He's not mic'd up, so he can't say out back. Go on then, Sam. Let's have a look. What do you think to that? What's your opinions as a master fitter?
Obviously good shafts as well. KVSC Tour. But yeah, I think that's a visually don't look too bad, does it? Like, you know, it's not. I think from a side it looks a bit weirder. But over the ball it doesn't look too bad at all.
What amazes me is if you're worried about buying an Axis because of that neck, once you start using it and you become a regular user, it just disappears. You forget it's even there.
Yeah,
I don't even. It just looks normal to me now.
Yeah, a little bit different balance point.
I've had a lot of people from Asian market messaging and commenting and saying like they can't believe that, you know, people in Europe aren't using an Axis more. They're loving the reviews and they're loving seeing
Softer than the Bettinardi, I'd say. Those are both of them are milled, proper milled heads. Ugh.
What do you think feel-wise? Because it doesn't feel, it feels, I don't know, would you say it feels a bit hollow or different? Or
Yeah, it's a little bit different. It's a bit more muted, I'd say.
Yeah.
The Bettinardi sounded like a little bit clickier.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're only two, I'd say, which are like a proper kind of milled, you know, putter head. Oh, that was just.
I'll always tell you exactly what I think, and even though I'm using it, and it's based on absolute results that I'm using it, in terms of feel, it's probably not the best feeling for me.
Yeah.
You know, I enjoy the feel of the Bettinardi.
It's not my preferred look.
No.
Not to say it's not going to work for everyone. But yeah, just visually for me, it looks a little bit different. Again, because I've been so used to like a shaft in the middle of a head for so long.
Yeah.
As well, it just takes a while to kind of adjust.
We tried the Elite model, and that did feel nice, you know. So they have made another version to this that does feel better.
A bit higher end.
As I say, I always buy the putters on results, and that's one that I'm
I mean,
most.
at the end of the day, if it goes in the old, goes in the old, doesn't it? You know, but it doesn't have to look amazing or feel amazing, I suppose, we're putting as long as the results are there.
Yeah.
Which one should we go? Should we go PXG?
Did you feel it were good though, Zero? Did you feel any twist or any?
No, didn't really feel much rotation. Like I said, a little bit different feel to Bettinardi. Yeah, a little bit muted, I'd say, compared to Bettinardi. It felt a little bit more clicky. But yeah, I think it's just more visually for me, seeing that neck, you know, very different to Lab.
Yeah.
So, you know, if I ever converted, it'd take a while to kind of, you know, get used to it and adapt to it.
What I would say as well, if you're buying these on the second-hand market, I would say your safer options on the second-hand market are probably like PXG, Axis, and Bettinardi, because they're going to be stock off-the-shelf models, aren't they?
Yeah.
Whereas if you went down the route of a second-hand Lab, you don't really know what lie you're going to get, what loft you're going to, you know, it could have been customised.
Yeah, again, you need to make sure if you are buying second-hand Lab that it has the full specs of the putter, because again, you're going to buy it blind and it's like the line was completely wrong. At least at least you know if it's a second-hand Axis or whatever, it's generally just one lie angle and that's it. So yeah, it's good in that respect.
So it's lie angle balance to obviously standard specs.
Yeah.
And I think while we're on topic of second-hand market, you know, I think if you went down route or Axis, Bettinardi or PXG, you do get a little bit better deal than Lab, because Lab are flying a minute, aren't they?
Yeah, again, I think time frame as well. You know, it's about 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks. I think the quote at the minute. So again, if people are desperate and want it, you know, here and now, then we are going to pay a little bit more for a second-hand Lab, I'd say. Where, like I said, you know, if anything's just generally off the shelf, so to speak, with like the other brands, then yeah, you can get a lot quicker.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll move on.
Should we look at Lab?
Yeah, let's look at Lab next.
We said in introductions like the most fittable, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
We're obviously going to use different versions because you like to use a.
Yeah, I'm DF2 at the minute, which is the original version.
I think if I were ever going to move into a Lab, this would be my spec. This is Dan's putter. And I think if I'd probably got that putter first, because when I ordered mine, you'll probably remember if you've been watching the channel, I didn't quite order it in the right spec.
Yeah.
You know, I put too much alignment on there. I don't want to sort of, boy, there's a video out there if you want to go and check what Lab putter I ordered and what went wrong.
Yeah.
But I think if I'd have ordered this spec, I'd probably never looked anywhere else, because I love Dan's putter, but he won't get me. So let's have a look at Lab then.
Yeah.
So I know when we've spoke to Lab, you know, in past, they really enjoy this forward lean, don't they?
Yeah.
They're a big sort
different shaft leans again.
advocate of it.
Yeah, obviously got the press grip on the normal putters. Again, I think like mine's got, I think about a 3-degree shaft lean on mine. Obviously loft's a bit higher on mine because it's an arm lock.
Yeah.
But obviously now they're doing the Oz with 0 shaft lean as an option.
Yeah.
Which I think is going to appeal to a lot more people as well, which is like a normal putter.
Well, I've done the Oz review, and I've done the DF3 review, and I don't know about you if you've tried the Oz, but I would say the DF3 is a hell of a lot more forgiving. Do you know when you're stroking it, it feels more balanced throughout the stroke?
Right.
100%, in my opinion. And I feel what they've done, they've made the Oz to appeal to a wider market, but probably lost a little bit of forgiveness in doing that.
Yeah, and also, yeah, we've got the insert option as well. Which I think definitely helps. I'd say in the UK with like coming off a bit quicker. Because I've obviously, you know, I had DF3 as well. I used it for quite a while. I've just changed the past week. I'm just struggling to get it to the hole really.
If I had one sort of criticism, you know, these are fantastic when greens are quick, but when they're slow, you have to stroke it a little bit too long, and then you lose that control. Dan were hoping that went in. He wants me to go back to lab, which I'd have no problem doing. I mean, obviously, if I can get a lab to outperform my Axis, then I would. But
yeah,
you know, it's what works, isn't it? End of the day. And I've got to admit, Dan, I absolutely love the look of this. When I ordered a lab, I was never going to order the DF3. I was going to order a Link 1 because it looked more traditional.
Yeah.
It didn't look as leery. But actually, once you get one of these and you start using it more frequently...
Yeah, I think it looks normal. I don't think it's...
I think you fall in love with it. But anyone who's not used lab would say that that's an ugly looking putter. But the... yeah, I mean, it just looks normal to me because I've used one before. And do you know what? I do love this forward press system. With a press 2 grip on it and that lean, I really feel like I'm in a great position, which is really unique to lab, isn't it?
Yeah.
I could definitely go back to a lab.
Yeah, it's just, like I said, it's the main thing, like I said, just getting the right spec, you know, the right alignment aid. Again, I think even going back to my DF2, which hasn't got the line at the front, I don't know, that's feeling a little bit more comfortable to me. So this just comes off a little bit hotter than the DF3.
Can I just tell you how important this alignment aid is? Because there's so many options on top, isn't there?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what I did, because to get the most out of these putters, you've got to swing them. So you've got to basically get yourself aligned, and then from there, don't over control. All my life, I feel like I've tried to manipulate the putter. So I ordered it with too much alignment on.
Yeah.
Not realising if you're buying into zero torque, you don't need so much alignment because it's all about just lining up to your target and then let the club flow.
Yeah, there's going to be less rotation anyway.
And I bought like the perfect zero torque putter, and then I was trying to manipulate it because I got all that alignment on.
Yeah.
And then when I tried Dan's with minimal alignment, it was fantastic. So don't make that same mistake as I did, guys. Don't overdo it with your alignment. I've got a question for you then.
Yes.
If this putter were re-released with the option of the OZ face, so is it the
Oz? Yeah.
The Oz.
Yeah.
Is it 0.1, which is like the
Oz I. Yeah.
Would you order it?
I don't know. I'm intrigued. I think for me, because I have arm lock, and because it's like a normal mallet.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think visually it might look a bit weird being like a normal mallet, but then like press forward as an arm lock.
Yeah.
Where because the others are a bit of a larger footprint, I don't know. I feel like a bit more comfortable, a bit more stable maybe. But I definitely want to try. Obviously, they've only just come out in arm lock and sweeper.
Yeah.
But yeah, if someone had it, tried it, I'd give it a go. Again, because it's zero torque, it's not like I'm adapting a lot.
Yeah.
You know, it's still the same feel in terms of the stroke. It's just obviously might come off a bit hotter, a bit softer, or visually looks different. But like I said, I just reverted back to this, and you know, played Sunday and put way better. Just so I could get it to the hole. He says.
I think the one thing I would say about, you know, or be cautious of if you're ordering a lab is if you're on slow greens.
Yeah.
Consider probably the Oz with a quicker face. You know, these sort of faces that you get on the DF3, the Mez and the Link, I just think they're too soft for slow greens.
Yeah, like, not here, but in my other home club, the greens are really slow at the minute, really, you know, compared to what we normally like. And when I'm playing, I feel like I've really got to hit it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't feel natural.
I think that one of the main reasons that Axis got into my bag, so it were in winter when I put it in, because it were the first zero top putter I tried that actually, you know, I could get the weight of the greens.
Yeah.
I weren't having to thrash it so much.
Well, I think, yeah, it's definitely a brand not to overlook. You know, they've definitely opened the door for every brand, really. Everyone's kind of, you know, trying to copy them in a lot of ways.
If they bring the DF3 out with the Aussie firmer face, and I will order one to try, 100%.
Yeah, I think it is in the works, I believe. I don't know whether it's this year or maybe next year, but I know they've mentioned it.
So, yeah, someone who works for Lab hinted that to us, didn't they? But we haven't seen it yet.
No.
That weren't a good stroke. That's what I've been doing with my... That's why I got rid of this putter, because I try to help it.
Yeah.
You know, because I know that I get a bit like short in my back. I'm not used to taking it that far back for such a short putt. And that's one of the reasons that I almost started a yip, because I was trying to like chip it there. You know, like get there and then, oh, I'm not going to hit it hard enough. And then you can't do that.
No.
You can't. You've got to take a long enough stroke and let it flow to make it work.
Yeah, it's just trust, isn't it? But yeah, let's look at last one. So PXG. So obviously this is the Allan. They've just brought out the bat attack as well.
Yeah.
Which we've not got yet in for testing. But yeah, again, different neck, similar to Axis, where, you know, not really in the heel, but it's designed to have a you know, shaft going directly to the centre of gravity, middle of the head. Obviously, different insert as well. You know, very different alignment aid as well. It's quite a different putter. It's still got 2 weight ports. The only one that's adjustable weights as well, to point out. Antidote doesn't have anything for Bettinardi. Axis doesn't. Obviously, Lab has weights, but you're not meant to alter them.
So do the weights improve, like can it make it like quicker off the face or slower off the face? Or
again, obviously, yeah,
because
the mass is going to change. I think at the moment they've got 15s in, so you can go a little bit heavier, a bit lighter. But again, this is where, you know, surely in a way it would affect the balance, because you're changing the mass of the head.
Yeah.
That's the only thing to think of as well. But yeah, it's another good offering, definitely.
There's one thing I really like about this. We did a test, didn't we?
Yeah.
We did DF3 versus obviously Allan, and I found that because this has got quite an oversized grip, I just found it so nice to stroke.
Yeah.
It just felt like so connected, and I wonder if like that could be replicated through the other brands. You know, like if you do go down the route of zero.
Yeah,
to try a thicker grip, I think for me.
Yeah, I ordered it for my fitting kit. I ordered it with a thicker grip just to be more stable, really.
I think it almost reduces your grip pressure a little bit, and then you can really let the club flow. You're not manipulating it then. It reminds me not to sort of like try to manipulate the club having a thick grip.
And then, yeah, like I said, I think Dan mentioned it. There's a press grip for the bat attack now.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's like a press grip for the PXG. So it's that'll be interesting to get and see how that compares to the Lab ones.
I think with that long line as well, it's a good combination of having a line on there that you can get lined up, but then just let it go. I'm going to hold this next one. It gives me a lot of confidence, this one. You know, when I look down at it.
I think you quite liked it when you tested it before.
I don't think I'm playing enough break.
No, it does shift a little bit.
Have you gamed this one before, or?
No, again, just because obviously I use arm lock. But yeah, obviously in testing, it feels nice. Again, quite soft off the face, I found. But yeah, it's. I asked PXG, I said, "Are you going to do it in an arm lock?" And they said, "No, not at the moment."
Yeah.
So that's why I've stayed with Lab as well. It's only offering it as arm lock because I'm useless for an awful.
I think you said something key there. Is the feel of it. It's one of the better ones I've felt.
Yeah,
and I
it
think
does
a lot
feel
of people
really nice.
say that it's such a good feeling putter? Because a lot of them feel quite light, these Zero Talks, don't they?
Yeah. Again, visually, obviously a bit different to say Live and the others, but I prefer the look of that to say the Axis. It looks, because it's a little bit closer to the centre, where like the Axis is like right on the heel.
Yeah.
Yeah, visually it looks doesn't look too bad for me. So yeah, let's see how this one goes. Yeah, dead easy to line up as well, which is good.
Oh, just the weight that kept that out. I think if you're somebody that buys putters just based on look, then probably Zero Talk putters are not the way for you, are they?
Yeah, but they're definitely not traditional.
If you're interested in technology and...
Oh, I've tried to force that. That was awful, but one more.
I mean, I was talking to an international putting coach, and I'll try and put the clip in the video actually. So I'm just with Mark, North for England aim point coach and internationally recognised.
Thank you.
And I just want to clear something up, because I get questioned a lot about Zero Talk putters, and you've been in the putter industry for fitting and obviously coaching. What's your opinion?
They're a hot topic, aren't they?
Yeah.
They seem to be the brand or the style of putter that's on everybody's lips. I've got one in my bag. What I would say is, if you've got a manipulation, if you've got a movement pattern which is deeply ingrained in the way that you putt, it might be that a Zero Talk putter, let's say you've got a habit of opening the face through the stroke, and that's deeply ingrained. If you then put a Zero Talk putter in your hands, that might not help you. But if you are neutral, then a Zero Talk putter will definitely help you. So I don't think they're a one size fits all. It's not going to help everybody. Golf is a very individual game, and we all know that. So it's a case of getting the style of the putter that suits you, suits your pattern, suits your movements, and that's why everybody should get fit for their putter.
I really appreciate that. I think that'll really help clear things up for a lot of people. So to conclude, it's not for everyone, but it can help a particular type of golfer.
Definitely so. I think it all depends how long you've played the game, what your movement patterns are, and if you're neutral, you don't have a manipulation embedded in your stroke, then it will definitely help you. But if you're somebody that's, say, got a heavy toe hang putter, and that helps you square the face at impact, you might find a Zero Talk putter works against you in some ways. But like with everything, you've got to try it to find out what works for you. And I'd be happy to help anybody.
I was just about to say, if you that person isn't sure whether a Zero Talk is going to help, then obviously, and you're from North for England or even further afield, see Mark.
Yeah, now at Alton Hall, where we've got this fantastic moving green. It's great for fittings. So if anybody needs any help or advice, just reach out.
Brilliant. Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it.
Pleasure.
He was saying, like, because there's a lot of amateur golfers and people watching the video say, oh, it's not going to really help and all this, but he's a massive advocate for him.
Is that Mark?
Yeah, Mark, yeah.
Playing for more break when he doesn't move. But again, I feel like I've got to force it a little bit more to the old because it comes off a bit softer. That's better. Oof, finally. But yeah, it's that again. Definitely, some come off a little bit hotter than others. I found, like, I felt like I did have to give it a little bit more from here. Again, these aren't. I'd say it's a pretty average pace. We're not really slow. We're not too quick. So yeah, bear that in mind as well. Some do come off a little bit.
If we start to look to conclude then, if we were to sort of rate them based on feel, out of the putters we've tested today, where would you say they would rate?
Good point. I'd probably say, for me, Lab, just because I'm used to the feel.
Yeah.
Then probably, I'd say Bettinardi, then this, then Axis.
Yeah.
My preference, what would you say yours?
I would probably say, I'd say PXG.
Yeah.
And then I'd say Bettinardi. Then I'd say Lab and then Axis.
Yeah.
If I were just basing it on feel.
I think that's interesting, is that we both said Axis last, but obviously you gave me Axis.
Yeah.
So it's not all about feel. Obviously,
if you were to have said, let's rank it in distance control, I'd put I'd put Axis at the top.
Yeah.
Because no matter if I'm on slow greens, fast greens, or long puts or short puts, I feel I can get the ball, you know, to the hole. I can attack the hole. When it's a slow green, I'd then put potentially Bettinardi and Lab at the bottom.
Yeah.
Well, I would. I'd actually go Axis at the top, and I'll ask you the same question if we're going on distance control. I'd say Axis. Then I'd go PXG.
Yeah.
And then I'd go Bettinardi and Lab.
Right.
Because I feel that with the Bettinardi and the Lab, that they're quite light and they're probably perfect for really fast greens.
Yeah.
In the standard face. So I don't know what you sort of say on that one.
Again, I'm trying to keep it not unbiased. I think Lab, depends on the model. Because again, like for me, DF3, I was definitely struggling to get it there, but the DF2 has been a bit hot for me. Again, like the PX even, I just feel like I have to give it a bit more. I'd probably say that's probably the last one. Then I'd probably go Axis. Then yeah, I'd need more time. I'd say to compare properly. But I'd say either Bettinardi or Lab just from that initial testing. Bettinardi didn't seem too bad to kind of get it. Yeah, we had an uphill putt early and it seemed okay. But yeah, the other couple, I feel like I might have to give it a bit more.
And you know what? I think a great question to ask is, out of all them putters, like, could you tell any difference? Because some brands will claim they're better than, you know, others when it comes to zero top. And from a user's perspective, out on a golf course, could you tell?
A little bit. I'd say, I think it might be more down to the neck, how it's, you know, goes into the head. I felt the Bettinardi felt very similar to Lab.
Yeah.
This and Axis felt quite different, and I don't know if it's just where the shaft placement is or whether it's just different, you know, zero torque.
Well, that's interesting.
For me, that the Bettinardi straight away felt like I'd imagine Link would feel, so to speak. Where this and Axis definitely felt a little bit different. I could feel it just more heel side because that's where the shaft's placed. From my opinion, yeah.
Oh, interesting.
So definitely a little bit different.
Yeah.
But you know, overall, there's something for everyone. You know, they're all different shapes. You know, all got their own spin of zero torque. It's just a case of getting fitted and trying them.
I think the final point I'm going to add, and I feel like I'm talking a lot about Lab today, but I suppose they are probably
they are the front runners.
The front runner, aren't they? If you are going to go down the route of Lab and you're going to invest into a Lab, you definitely need to give it some time. If you're transitioning from a traditional putter to then buying into a lean putter with a forward press grip, for me personally, I didn't just get on a green and instantly think this is better.
Yeah.
You know, it took me a couple of weeks when I initially got my putter and I had a flash of really good putting. And then I think when I picked Dan's up, that caused me the problem really. Because then I saw his alignment and I thought, wow, this feels amazing.
Yeah.
You know, like it like unlocked my stroke. And then I went back to my own and I became over control.
Yeah.
But I think the big thing to say with Lab is they are fantastic putters. But if you're going to buy into lean and forward pressing, you've got to give it some time because it is different. You know, you can't just put your normal stroke onto it where you probably wrongly help the putter. You know, whereas when you've got the forward lean and it sets you into a really good setup for putting, you've then got to just let the putter do the work.
I mean, one thing we've not mentioned, which is probably one of the most important things, is price point.
Yeah.
As well, obviously, they all vary a little bit. They all are a little bit higher end, I'd say. Again, we can obviously check what we're coming up at retail, but obviously Lab varies a lot with like shaft options and such like that, and even alignment options. Again, PXG, I know they're kind of like a 400 to 500 price point. What's Axis retail?
I think Axis is about 389 for the Rose, and then the Elite model's about 490, something like that.
Again,
so.
I think Bettinardi is kind of pushing to 4. So
they
are higher end. What would be interesting is if a brand brought out like a budget zero torque.
Yeah.
That way I think it would shake up the market a bit. But at the minute, it's definitely staying a little bit higher end. Honestly, probably is the best price point, which we haven't got today, but yeah, with a 249, I think they are.
I'm sure Tacomo's working on that one, aren't they?
Probably.
There'll be a D2C brand, you know, licking their lips and thinking if we can get in there at sort of under £200.
Yeah, definitely. Again, there's loads of zero torque brands, which obviously we haven't got here today, and I imagine there's some at a little bit cheaper price point. So yeah, it's also that's a big factor as well.
I think there's one thing I'm going to finish with, and I don't know if you'd agree on this, but if you are trying to play a square-to-square stroke or you're trying to play quite a neutral path, for me, there is no other direction to looking apart from zero torque. It's not for everybody, but if you are trying to play quite a neutral path, for me, why would you look anywhere else?
Yeah, I think, like you said, if you've got a very exaggerated arc, then it might make it worse going 0 torque potentially. I know that's what Mark mentioned as well. So yeah, I think main thing, don't fight it, and then it'll definitely help your game.
Yeah. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed that little bit of a discussion on 0 torque putters, and I hope for some of you we've shared a little bit of information, hopefully touched on some putters you might not have looked to purchase, or you might be looking to purchase, and we've given you a few golden nuggets. But yeah, if you're not already subscribed, hit the subscribe button. Let's get to 50k, and go and check some out Golf Repairs for you for all your fitting needs. Is the best fitter in the business.
Thank you.
And I've always said it, no matter whether you're an hour away or you're 4 hours away, invest into your game, even if you need a hotel to stop over and see him, because there's one thing I can guarantee, and I wouldn't say this so confidently about everything in golf, is that Sam will not let you down, and he'll get you into the right product, and no matter what time it costs him to do it, we'll get it right. He'll get it right for you. So yeah, we'll see you in a few days' time. Bye.